What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, Olympic gold medalist, retired Hall of Famer, turned colorful analyst for ESPN and Top Rank Boxing. That being none other than former pound-for-pound king, who's now a Hall of Famer, Andre SOG Ward. Andre Ward retired, 32 wins, no losses, no draws, 16 wins by way of knockout, 6 feet tall with a 71-inch arm reach. With that said, he's an orthodox fighter who's naturally left-handed. So his lead hand, his jab hand, is very powerful because it's his dominant hand. So with that said, Andre Ward, he responds to everybody reaching out to him after 4-division world champion, Mexican superstar boxer, who is widely considered now to be the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world after becoming undisputed at super middleweight and becoming the first undisputed super middleweight champion in the history of sport of boxing and the first Mexican-born fighter to become undisputed, that being none other than Saul Canelo Alvarez. 57 wins, 1 loss, 2 draws, 39 wins by way of knockout. He's 31 years of age, stands at 5'8" with a 70-inch arm reach. With that said, he defeated a guy in undefeated former IBF super middleweight world champion superstar boxer Caleb Sweethand Plant, who's now defeated after being knocked out in the 11th round by Canelo Alvarez and losing his IBF title. Caleb Plant was being tutored and being mentored by Andre SOG Ward. Andre Ward, he picked Caleb Plant by stoppage. He said it's not going the distance, and he picked Caleb Plant to get the stoppage victory. Okay, now Caleb Plant, 29 years of age, 6'1" with a 74-inch arm reach. Okay, he had a 4-inch height advantage and a 4-inch arm reach advantage over Canelo Alvarez, and Andre Ward was tutoring him. So Andre Ward, you know, he picked Caleb Plant, but he also stated that Caleb Plant had to follow through with the game plan and stay cool, calm, and collective and weather the storm, and he wasn't able to do so. Okay, he actually got stopped. So with that said, Andre Ward, prior to that fight, he was being linked to a possible comeback return and face off against Canelo Alvarez. Andre Ward last fought in June of 2017, so he's been out the ring for 4 years when he dominated Sergey Crusher Kovalev and stopped Sergey Crusher Kovalev. Okay, so with that said, you know, many people they wondered, would Andre Ward come back as Canelo Alvarez is, you know, running a super middleweight division. This is the division Andre Ward, he fought in the Super 6 tournament. You know, he dominated that tournament. He beat the who's who of his era in that division. Then he went up in weight, and like he stated, I'm not going to come to your neighborhood and not knock on your door. And he visited Sergey Crusher Kovalev at light heavyweight, 175, and fought him twice and stopped him in the second fight, won the first fight by unanimous decision, even though Kovalev dropped him in that first fight. Okay, so with that said, he then, you know, retired surprisingly at the tender age, you know, of 32 years of age. Okay, he's now 36. And many people, now that Canelo Alvarez is in this division, Andre Ward didn't get a chance because of Lucian Bute not giving him the opportunity to fight for undisputed. He never became undisputed as super middleweight. Okay, that's a division that he glamorized. That's a division that he dominated. Okay. And he didn't get the opportunity, and then he moved up to light heavyweight, like I stated, and then he retired. So now Canelo Alvarez is ruling this division. He's the face of this division, and he also, too, faced off and beat Sergey Kovalev for his WBO title as well, okay? And Andre Ward was actually looking to fight Adonis Stevenson, but we know what happened with Adonis Stevenson, ended up getting injured in his fight, badly injured and having to retire. He held the WBC title. So everybody was looking forward to Andre Ward versus Adonis Stevenson because the biggest fight at at light heavyweight was Adonis Stevenson versus Sergey Crusher Kovalev. But that never took place. Okay. And then Andre Ward beat Kovalev. Everybody wanted to see Ward versus Stevenson, but then Stevenson got injured. They both retired. So Andre Ward, he responds. You know, everybody's saying, you know, essentially, what do you think? He never, you know, responded to or reacted to Canelo Alvarez beating Caleb Plant. So now everybody was questioning and wondering what you think about it. So Sergio Mora, former boxer, he responded and he stated, you know, Canelo Alvarez, you know, he dominated, you know, the super middleweight division in 11 months. He became undisputed in 11 months. who does that? Not even Andre S.O.G. Ward was able to do so. It took him 2 years to unify the belts, and he added Andre Ward. So Andre Ward, he responded, and he said, "No, baby boy, I fought. I jumped right into deep waters as a young pup. I didn't get to pick and choose and cherry pick who I wanted to fight. I had to fight who they put in front of me in the Super 6 tournament. I jumped right in the deep ocean as a young pup. It's completely different than me and Canelo Alvarez." And then somebody responded and they said, "Well, you never fought a slick boxer with power, big like Canelo Alvarez is doing." And, he said, "You ever heard of Chad Dawson?" Chad Dawson was that guy at one point in time who Bernard Hopkins, who was the undisputed reigning middleweight champion and moved up to light heavyweight and super middleweight and things of that nature. He was avoiding Chad Dawson, but then he eventually had to fight Chad Dawson, and he had a lot of antics in the first fight. It was DQ, and then he fought the second time, and Chad Dawson officially beat him. But Chad Dawson was that dude. A lot of people don't remember Chad Dawson was that dude. And Chad Dawson called out Andre Ward. Andre Ward fought Chad Dawson as a catchweight, and he beat Chad Dawson, okay? After winning the Super 6 tournament, beating Carl Froch and the likes of those types of guys, okay? He just never got the opportunity because Lucien Boutte was playing games with the belt, and they never got the opportunity to become undisputed. So with that said, Andre Ward, he responds. So many people don't remember just how good Chad Dawson was and what Andre Ward accomplished in the sport of boxing, because it's been 4 years, okay? Now, Andre Ward, he's a lot of people like to attest what Caleb Plant was doing to Andre Ward. Now, Caleb Plant has slick boxing ability. He's big, he's quick, but he never asserted himself in the fight with Canelo Alvarez. He never threw anything of conviction, like many other fighters that Canelo Alvarez fight, even including Sergey Crusher Kovalev, right? They just seem not to want to let their hands go, not to throw anything with any real conviction, okay? And so because of that, Canelo Alvarez could essentially do what he wants. There's no much resistance, right? Now, he still has to cut off the ring. He still has to be, Canelo Alvarez, you know what I mean? He still has to perform, but at the end of the day, you look at it and you say, Caleb Plant is not a big puncher anyway. He was 21 wins, no losses, no draws with 12 knockouts, okay? So he's not a big puncher. That's not his forte. He's a slick, pure boxer, okay, with technical abilities. And that was seemingly the style that gave Canelo Alvarez the most problems. And we see, that wasn't the case either, because Canelo Alvarez, he made the adjustment in the fight, okay? Caleb Plant, his boxing ability, his counterpunch ability, his slickness was giving Canelo Alvarez tons and tons of problems in the fight. I thought Caleb Plant clearly won the first 3 rounds because of that. But as I stated in my prediction, that was going to happen. Canelo Alvarez was going to lose those rounds. It was up to Caleb Plant to keep up that pace. Can he keep up the pace? Can he keep up, stay away from Canelo Alvarez? Can he stay cool, calm, and collective, stay poised as Canelo Alvarez is having moments, okay? Canelo Alvarez is going to have moments. Can you weather the storm? Can you be able to, essentially regroup, okay, when he have his moments, when he have his spurts, because he's going to cut the ring off, because that's what he knows, his limitations, okay? Canelo Alvarez knows his limitations. He knows that he doesn't have foot speed. He's at the size disadvantage, and things of that nature. So Canelo understands what he has to do to be successful, okay? And what he has to do to be successful is he has to cut the ring off. He has to go to your body. He has to use his biggest attributes to his advantage, okay? And so he's going to have these spurts. He has a high ring IQ. He's going to have these moments. And he committed to the body of Caleb Plant once he realized he couldn't touch Caleb Plant. He couldn't hit Caleb Plant to the head. So he continued to commit to the body until Caleb Plant essentially started to drop his hands to protect his body. And then Canelo Alvarez started throwing combinations of hooks up top, feinting to the body and going back up top. And that ultimately got the party started with Canelo Alvarez. He ultimately came up top and caught Caleb Plant with a left hook. And then the rest was history. He started landing straight right hand, so on and so forth. Andre Ward they're trying to attempt to lure Andre Ward out of retirement for this fight. He stays in the gym. We know that Timothy Bradley, former 2-division world champion, who is a co-host with Andre Ward with Top Rank and ESPN Boxing. And he stated on numerous occasions that Andre Ward has been in the gym. He's been preparing himself possibly for a comeback. And he knows for sure that if Canelo Alvarez made mention of his name, that he would come back and fight Canelo Alvarez, okay? Also, Andre Berto, who's very close to Andre Ward, who trains with Andre Ward's trainer, Virgil Hunter. And he also stated that he knows Andre Ward has something up his sleeve and could possibly be looking to make a ring return as well, okay? So there's a lot of hints and a lot of, sources that believe Andre Ward is willing to come back if Canelo Alvarez says his name. Now, Canelo Alvarez, when asked about Caleb Plant being trained and mentored and tutored by, Andre Ward, he said it won't help him because he'll knock out both Andre Ward and Caleb Plant. So then after fight week, that was before fight week. Then fight week, Canelo Alvarez was also asked about Andre Ward again, and he says, I believe Andre Ward wants to come back. I think he wants to fight me, but let's see what happens after this Caleb Plant fight. So I believe that, Andre Ward, for the right money, would come back, okay? Andre Ward was void in his career of that high-profile, big, lucrative fight in his career. He just simply didn't have it, okay? The biggest fight of his career was Sergey Kovalev. Andre Ward was an Olympic gold medalist. He fought the Super 6 tournament, a bunch of hard-fought fights, superstars, but none of them were pay-per-view mega stars. Canelo Alvarez is a global pay-per-view on the verge of becoming a global pay-per-view megastar. He's already a superstar. He's already, a pay-per-view star, okay? But he's on the verge of global stardom, meaning that, he's on the verge of becoming that Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao type of fighter, okay? He's making a name. He's carving out his niche and getting to that status. That's what Andre Ward needs to solidify himself. Again, he's an Olympic gold medalist. He's already a Hall of Famer. He's already a 2-division world champion. He beat the best of his era. But again, he's been void of that massive, mega, pay-per-view, iconic name and signature fight on his resume. And Canelo Alvarez represents that. Canelo Alvarez, he represents that for Andre Ward, that signature win. And for Andre Ward to come back out of retirement, 4-year layoff, and come back, maybe have a tune-up, maybe not, and fight and beat what's considered to be the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world, the pay-per-view pound-for-pound star in the sport of boxing, that's his signature win. Sergey Kovalev, and again, Canelo Alvarez, he beat, Sergey Kovalev as well. So now, obviously, Andre Ward beat Sergey Kovalev when he was undefeated, when he was the boogeyman in light heavyweight. But to come back and beat Canelo Alvarez speaks volumes. I believe that his skill set, his physical strength, his size, his ring IQ would be enough to beat Canelo Alvarez. And it would be an opportunity as well for Canelo Alvarez to solidify himself as well as that signature fight, because Andre Ward would represent the best fighter on his resume, technically. We know Floyd Mayweather was on his resume, but he lost. That would be the biggest win against a technical fighter that's solidified, a Hall of Famer. So let's see how this unfolds and plays out. But Andre Ward seems like he's interested in making his comeback. That's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notification. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Raw. Make sure you like your shitty videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
You're watching Blue Blood Sports TV. Wow.